What's up guys, it's Zach from The Pampered Pup. Today I'm going to walk you through a comparison of Ollie's fresh dog food with Nom Nom's fresh dog food based on my first-hand experience with both of these brands. I'm going to talk about the quality of these fresh dog foods and I'll eat them right in front of you here on camera. I'll also talk about the convenience of each of these brands to pet owners, and I'll compare these brands on cost in a fair way, not using the dollars per day or dollars per week basis that they use when setting up your meal plans. But to give you some quick answers as we get started here, I wouldn't really recommend Ollie's dog food to anyone. I think when you consider the price that you're paying and the quality of the food, there are definitely better options out there. If you're okay with paying a little bit more like you do with Ollie, you might want to check out the Farmer's Dog. I'll leave a link with a discount code to the Farmer's Dog in the description of this video. On the other hand, if you'd like a fresh dog food that's a little bit more affordable, I'd suggest that you check out Nom Nom. It's an excellent tasting food and a convenient service at a great price for pet owners. Whether you decide on Ollie or Nom Nom, if you use my links in the description of this video, you can save 50% on your first box. But now let's get down to business and take a look at how Ollie and Nom Nom compare on quality. So let's take a look at how the recipes from Ollie and Nom Nom compare visually. We'll start by taking a look at how the beef recipes from Ollie and Nom Nom compare. On the left here I have Ollie's beef with sweet potatoes, and on the right I have Nom Nom's beef mash. And you can see the difference is quite stark here. On the left with Ollie's recipes, the food looks fairly homogenized and it looks more like a paste than it does like actual food. Whereas on the right, you have Nom Nom's food here, and you can see large chunks of the ingredients. You can easily pick out the peas, the potatoes, the eggs, the ground beef, everything. Whereas on the left with Ollie, maybe there's some greens in there, maybe there's some shreds with carrots, but it's really difficult to pick out. So now let's look at the chicken recipes. On the left, I have Ollie's chicken with carrots, and on the right, I have Nom Nom's chicken cuisine. Once again, you can see that it's the same situation as it was with the beef recipes. Ollie's chicken with carrots is quite homogeneous. There's really no easy way to pick out any of the individual ingredients. Whereas what you're getting with Nom Nom is nice large chunks of the ingredients. You see the sweet potatoes, the chunks of chicken, and that's not even ground chicken, that's nice chicken meat. So to me, the winner in terms of appearance is clear. So let's compare Ollie and Nom Nom's fresh dog food recipes in terms of how they smell. Start over here with the beef. And as before, I have Ollie here on your left and Nom Nom here on your right. I'll start by sniffing Ollie here. Yep, and it smells a bit sour, probably from the greens, and a little bit on the heavy side for sure. It doesn't really smell overwhelmingly appetizing. Now let's contrast that with Nom Nom. And that is a much cleaner smell. It's much lighter on the nose and definitely more appetizing, definitely a lot less off-putting than the smell that I get from the Ollie's food here. There's no question that I'm more interested in giving Nom Nom a try after smelling both of these. Let's see how that translates over with the chicken recipes here. I'll do it in reverse order this time. I'll smell the Nom Nom first and then Ollie after that. Nom Nom's recipe smells nice and clean. You can really smell the sweet potatoes. That cuts through clear as day. It smells pretty good. Definitely fairly appetizing. Now let's try Ollie's chicken. As with the beef, it has a little bit of a sour smell, which I'm guessing is from the greens. It definitely smells heavier and a little less appetizing. Both of these Ollie recipes smell more along the lines of dog food than human food, whereas Nom Nom smells more like typical food that we eat. Well, nothing's more important than how these recipes taste, so let's dive right into it. I'm actually going to start with the chicken recipes and work our way up to the more complex flavors in the beef. So let's try Ollie's chicken with carrots first. So as I noted in my Ollie review, the texture of this chicken with carrots recipe is really quite pasty. It's almost like sand. Of course, it's not crunchy, but you feel a little bit of a sandy texture on your tongue as you're chewing through this food. And it definitely has a pasty sort of feeling to it. And the food is definitely not delicious, not really clean. You could probably taste that organ meat coming through quite a bit, but there's just not much to love about the eating experience with Ollie's fresh dog food, unfortunately. Let's contrast that with Nom Nom's chicken recipe. The textures in Nom Nom's food is just so much more pleasant. Nice chunks of chicken, nice chunks of sweet potato. The food tastes clean, tastes fresh. You're not getting any of those heavy sort of flavors that you're getting with Ollie's food. This is definitely much more palatable and much more along the lines of real human food. Now let's move on to the beef recipes here. And I'll start with Ollie's. As before, that flavor is really heavy, and that's quite unpleasant. The texture is not doing it any justice either. Unlike a lot of the fresh dog food brands that I try, these recipes are fairly unpleasant. They don't taste like human food, they taste like dog food. Let's hope the Nom Nom can be a saving grace here, as it'll be the last flavor on my palate. So this is Nom Nom's beef recipe. And Nom Nom's beef recipe is quite a bit more pleasant than Ollie's beef recipe. Again, the texture of the ingredients is really lovely. Nice big chunks of meat, nice big chunks of potatoes, and the flavor of the food is much more clear, much more tasty. It's not as delicious as some of the fresh dog food recipes I've tried, but it's pretty darn good. All in all, there's no question in my mind as to which of these fresh dog foods tastes better. I would say that Nom Nom, without a doubt, is the more delicious choice for your pup. So let's talk about how these dog foods are made. Both Ollie and Nom Nom's recipes are designed by veterinary nutritionists. Nom Nom makes a point of saying that their veterinary nutritionists are board certified, whereas Ollie does not. The food from both of these companies is human grade, and they use a nutrient mix to make sure that it meets AAFCO standards. Both companies make their food in United States kitchens. However, Ollie uses USDA regulated kitchens, whereas Nom Nom only uses USDA grade A ingredients. In terms of nutritional value, Ollie's recipes range from about 9 to 11% protein as fed, which is about standard when it comes to fresh dog food. Nom Nom's recipes, on the other hand, range from about 7 to 10% protein as fed, which is a bit on the low side, although not the lowest out there. This is probably a good point to keep in mind when it comes time to discuss pricing. Now let's talk about how these companies compare in terms of convenience from an owner's standpoint. Both Ollie and Nom Nom require a subscription to purchase their fresh dog food, and in both cases it's really quite easy to cancel your subscription if you decide it's not the right choice for you. It can be done entirely from within your account dashboard on their website. No need to talk to customer service or anything like that. In terms of shipping, both companies ship quite quickly. The food is packed in insulated packages with dry ice, so it's quite frozen when it gets to your house. Even in the case of Nom Nom, where my shipment was delayed due to an error on the shipper's side, the food was still frozen when I received it, even though all the dry ice had evaporated. Their shipping containers were almost identical between the two, and what I liked about these two brands, there was no need to rinse cellulose packaging down my sink. One quick note here is that Ollie's first shipment does come with a reusable scoop and food container to make it easier to keep the defrosted food in the fridge and portion it out. In terms of how the dog food is packaged, I found Ollie's frozen patties to be a bit on the large side. One recipe was about 1.5 pounds per package, and the other was 1.75 pounds per package. It seems to me like a bit much to defrost each time, with the potential of some being left over in your fridge too long to the point where it goes to waste, especially if you go away for a weekend or something like that. On the other hand, Nom Nom's meals came in about 400-gram frozen patties, which is definitely a more manageable size. And when it comes to serving, both of these companies use packages with easy peel tabs on them, so there's no need to get a pair of scissors dirty when you open it up. Ollie recommends that their food's consumed within 4 days of defrosting, whereas Nom Nom says you have up to 7 days. Last but not least, we can't compare these two fresh dog food companies without talking about cost. And when I evaluate the cost of fresh dog food brands, I don't use their standard dollars per week, dollars per day. I think it's much more fair to evaluate them on a dollars per pound basis, especially because the moisture contents and calorie contents of these foods don't vary all that much from brand to brand, whereas the serving sizes of their meal plans vary quite a bit. According to my calculations, Ollie comes in at about $6 per pound, which is right in the middle of the spectrum for fresh dog food. Nom Nom, on the other hand, comes in at right about $4 per pound, which is quite affordable. And when you consider how much more tasty this dog food is, to me it's absolutely a no-brainer which one of these is a better deal for you and your pup. Whichever of these fresh dog foods you choose, make sure to use my link in the description of this video to save 50% on your first order. And make sure to check out my videos reviewing each one of these companies individually. I go into a bit more detail there. If you're still not quite sure which fresh dog food to choose for your pup, check out my The Farmer's Dog review. I think it's a great alternative if you don't mind spending a little bit more money than Nom Nom, but otherwise Nom Nom's a great choice. Hope you found this useful, and best of luck finding a delicious fresh dog food for your pup.